Good morning. This is oh, this is going to be more of a laid back recording than usual. I'm not gonna focus too much on these details that slow me down. I'm just gonna ramble on for a little bit. It's leap day. Happy leap day. It's kind of a chilly leap day morning, so I'm going to relax in my bed and you can hang out with me. I want to show you this noise that I found that you might enjoy. So how has your week been? Last week, I guess. We're kicking off a new week now. Last day of February. Got any March plans going on? I am moving at the end of March into a home that will be much less conducive to recording. Couldn't decide if I wanted to say less for recording or more noise. So it'll be an adventure. This marks the first full year that I've had my own place. And that's kind of exciting. It's fun. I enjoy living on my own, being on an adventure, or however you want to call this. Kind of fending for myself, doing my own thing. It's a good lifestyle, right? Okay, let me see. I want to show you this noise. Oops. So I have to do this to assemble the parts. I wonder if anyone would recognize what this was from the sound. Because what is this? Anyone that uses this would probably recognize it. Why is it so dirty? Did I not clean it last time? I don't even remember last time I used this. But anyway, I am going to be moving, and then I intend to make as many recordings as I can while I'm still in my apartment, and then to just slowly release them over time and edit them as I go. I can have a whole bunch of them in the editing part of the pipeline rather than having to record. I still think I'll be able to record. It's just going to be more challenging. I'm going to have to learn the workings of the house and the workings of the neighbors. Those kind of things. Once you live in a place for a while, you kind of learn the best time and place to do things. But here, there's just always that noise. Now, it wasn't here when I first moved in, but almost always these days it's been there. It's going on right now. Oof. That smells kind of gross. Okay, so I got my thing ready. Now we have to choose. Let's see here. Let's do some of this on the bottom. Oh wait, I want this one. Oh wait, I put it in the wrong thing. It has been a while. Either that or I'm just tired. Either way. So let's redo that. You go in here. So it goes into this thing, like so. Forget it doesn't need very much, wow. Okay, and then let's put some of this in here. Might be too much. Let's see. It was funny because the last time I've used this, and even a couple of the people that I have been with, I use this thing and we hear the sound it makes and we're like, wow, yeah, people are gonna like this sound. This is totally an ASMR kind of sound. And it amuses me. I'm sure someone's done this. Maybe not just some variation of this. Because I've seen related videos. I don't know if they use this specific thing like I do. Okay. Let's seal this bag. Put this one away. Okay, move this out of the way. Brush off the head. Hope it's not too loud. Okay. Guess I'll figure it out if it is. Okay. Check this noise out. So, what did you think? How was that? I like the sound. I think it's a good one. Okay, it looks good in there. That was the sound of a grinder. And before you start getting ideas, I'm probably not even grinding up what you think I am. Take a guess. What do you think it is? I'm grinding it into a vaporizer. A little Magic Flight launch box. I don't use this thing very often. But I do like it when I do use it. However, again, probably not what you would expect. I'm assuming that most people would think that I'm vaporizing marijuana, but I'm not. I've tried weed. I have. And honestly, I don't like it. I do not like it at all. I'm not against it. I don't think that it's a bad thing. I think it should be decriminalized. I think most consensual crimes should be decriminalized. But it is not for me. Marijuana is not my thing. And I don't think it ever will be. Which surprises a lot of people. But I am used to surprising people. So what I just put into this little vaporizer, I put two things in it. The first of which is probably my favorite thing that I vape, and it is Damiana. And I like Damiana. I got interested in a couple of these herbs because they affect your dreams, and I'm very fascinated with dreams and dreaming and sleeping and all of these things. Less sleeping, more dreaming, but they go hand in hand. So Damiana affects your dreams. The best way that I describe how it affects my dreams is Damiana makes my dreams more solid. Like if you are in a dream and you're facing something, if you're looking at something in your dream and you look away and look back to the original thing, there's a really good chance that it's going to be different in some way. If there's something written on it or numbers, then they'll likely have changed, or oftentimes it can just be an entirely different thing. Like dreams are very unstable just because they don't have the solidity of physical reality. But if you take Damiana, and you don't have to vaporize it, it's just a little bit easier. Well, not even always, just in this case right now, that's what I'm doing. Mostly because I wanted to make the noise, but you can also make Damiana tea, and that works just as well. You have to use a lot more to do the tea. Vaping is a pretty efficient way to take most things. Anyways, if you ingest Damiana before you go to sleep, your dreams will become a little bit more solid. They'll have more of that solidity, more akin to physical reality than a dream itself. And oftentimes, it makes things almost as if they were a memory. Like I'll wake up and it's almost as if I had an experience somewhere else, rather than a dream where everything's really abstract and kind of confusing and silly, nonsensical. When I do Damiana, lots of times I'll wake up and it'll just be like I went and hung out at a friend's house for a little bit, or just whatever, just an actual memory rather than a dream. And I find that amusing. And the other thing, the other herb plant that I put into this mixture that I just did is, I always forget how to say the second word, Kalia Zakatekichi. Wait, no. Zacatechichi? I don't know how to say that. It's the Mexican dream herb. And this one also affects your dreams. I haven't used this one a lot, particularly because it makes probably the worst tasting tea I have ever had in my life. So I don't use it very often, because I don't usually use my vaporizer that often. I think that it just makes it more vivid, and maybe it increases your chances of lucid dreaming. And that's... Sorry, that's dirty by you. Not because of you, though, don't worry. Lucid dreaming has fascinated me for a while also, particularly because it's like one of those things that I have trouble doing. I've always been really interested in it, but I've been not very skilled at accomplishing it. I have had them before, and they seem to happen on their own timing, because I'll get into a phase where I really am interested in it, and I'll do all the things. I'll write down my dreams every morning. I like to record them more. Like, I'll turn on my audio recorder and I'll wake up and I'll just recite basically what I just remembered, and that works just as well. But I'll start remembering my dreams, and Occasionally I'll do techniques. I've been a little lazy about the techniques in the past, but not always. And it doesn't usually get me very far. When I start having lucid dreams, they happen on their own accord. Usually, I guess not usually, but often in tandem when I'm doing these other things. Like they will kind of, I'm sure they're related, but it's not when I'm trying to do a technique. They'll just start to happen at random times, and not in the way that the guides suggest that they should. For example, lots of times I will just be going to sleep on a regular night, just trying to go to sleep, and then all of a sudden I'll go into the vibration stage, and those experiences can all be really intense, and they're not usually that pleasant, but I've gotten more used to them. They don't really freak me out anymore. They just kind of are a little bit jarring, but I will either instantly go into a dream, or kind of be partially in one and then not get quite far enough. That would be my rice. It beeps a lot. Wonder how loud that was. It shouldn't be that loud. Okay, I'm gonna get my rice real quick. You can stay here. You look comfortable. breakfast. I don't want this to be an eating sounds video. But at the same time, I want to eat my rice. I'm a polite eater. So we'll see what I can do. What are we talking about? Oh, lucid dreaming. Last year and this year, but last year was my first. I went to this music festival up in Canada called Shambhala Music Festival. And it was just a wonderful, beautiful experience. Both years that I went, but particularly the first was like you don't get over your first of most things that are pleasurable. And I'm going again this year and I'm very excited for it. What I found very interesting last year, and you can justify this however you wish, it's about, well, it was a decent drive from where I lived at the time, and it's even farther drive here in Arizona. But last year it wasn't this far. And so we went to the festival and then we drove home, and I was pretty exhausted when I got home. So naturally the first thing I did was walk into my room and basically just fall on the bed and go to sleep. But it turned out it was going to be a lot more interesting than that. And I flopped down on my bed, got undressed and comfortable, and then flopped down, went to sleep, but instantly this snapped into a lucid dream. And this was a very short one, but so I woke up and I was like, wow, that was strange. And this was at an interesting time because I had not done any lucid dreaming techniques in probably a couple of years at that point, just because I had given up, or however you want to say it, and then just I did nothing for 2 years. It wasn't logging my dreams, nothing like that. And then these experiences started happening spontaneously. So there was that. And then for the next maybe 3 or 4 days after that first one, every time that I laid down to go to sleep, I could not transition into dreams unconsciously. Like every dream that getting to sleep was a conscious experience at that point, and it was so strange. And I wasn't doing it on purpose. There was nothing I could do to prevent it. And I can remember lots of the things that were happening. One of the ones that amused me the most was basically, it's kind of hard to explain it and still sound believable in a way. But I think the one that amused me most was I laid down and closed my eyes, and then I was in a restaurant. And I was walking around this really crowded restaurant. I don't know what kind of food it was, but it was like a brownish red lighting everywhere, and just tons and tons of people. And we were just walking through it, and then something jolted me awake, and it was a dog barking. I don't know why the dog was in the restaurant. It was just out of nowhere. This dog barked really loud right next to me, and it startled me awake. But then I just closed my eyes and went somewhere else. I think either the first or second night that was going on, I got thrown into the vibrations experience, and it was very intense. It felt... This is exactly what it felt like at the time. It felt like I was thrown into an office chair that was one that could rotate. You could spin the office chair in a circle, and it was spinning, not very fast, but it was spinning in a circle. But I was in the middle of a freeway, and cars were passing me at 65, 70 miles an hour as I was spinning. That's about what that felt like, and that was intense. But just as suddenly as I started having those experiences, they just went away. I don't know why either of them happened. I have no idea. It didn't even happen. Part of me held on to the dream that when I came home from Shambhala the second year, it would happen again, but it didn't. But my experiences were quite different year to year. Not saying one was bad and one was good, just the things that I was doing at the festival and my overall experience was quite different. But the reason that I like that festival is just that it's such a loving and positive energy place. Like, I've always felt a little bit restricted from being my full self, just because there's a limit to just how many crazy things you can say to strangers. But at Shambhala, you're accepted and allowed to be whoever you want to be. And it sounds cliche and kind of true, and maybe it is, but it's there's never been a place that I've felt more accepted, no matter what I said or did or thought, as that place. And that's an experience that I guess I find invaluable. And that's sort of the thing that it's known for. But it's also very non-commercial. It's very open-minded and acceptable. Acceptable? I just got some intense deja vu. That's kind of strange. Anyway. Shambhala. Also, another one of my favorite things about Shambhala is the fact that alcohol is banned. Alcohol is off limits. And I like that. Alcohol is another one of the drugs that I really just don't like at all. It's gross and I never feel good on it. It just kind of shuts me down. Like, I don't understand. I'm not saying that people shouldn't do it or that people can't have fun on it. I'm just purely expressing my own distaste for it. But there has never been a time where I have felt good because of alcohol, because of any level of alcohol. There is no... I don't receive positive effects from it. People tell me, oh, you just gotta drink this way, you just gotta drink this thing. And I've humored their suggestions and tried many different things, but none of them have been pleasant. Not all of them have been as unpleasant, but there's never been a time where I'm like, oh, this is good, I would like to repeat this experience. It's all just like, okay, can we do something else now? I'm gonna eat some rice, hold on. Kind of amused me too, because Shambhala, the music, like the theme of the music there is electronic music in all many diverse genres, not necessarily just one sort of electronic music. But I like electronic music quite a bit, and I expected to see more of the artists there, but both years that I've been, I just really haven't been that interested in the music. I go primarily for the social experience and for the people that I meet there. And just for all the other silly things that you experience and encounter at Shambhala. But for one thing, I'm not much for dancing. Like, I'll do the little silly dancing and whatever, but I don't really enjoy it. Like, I get that some people dance and it kind of puts them in a state, almost a bit of a trance, and they can let go of themselves and be free and just move to music. And I think dancing is a very primal thing. But I've never been able to let go of that awareness of my body. And I mean, not through dancing, I guess. Maybe through something else, but Never through dancing have I felt that release. It's always just been kind of, if I'm moving myself, I'm always conscious of what I'm doing. If I want to lose awareness of my body, I have to be very still and very, I don't know if distracted is a good word, just very focused on something else. And I do like moving a little bit to music, just kind of bobbing my head or whatever, just to acknowledge the rhythm in with a simple motion, but not necessarily dancing. And people, again, always try to argue with me, which is kind of annoying. People argue with me about a lot of dumb things. And I'm not saying that dumb because they're wrong, just dumb because there's no point to arguing about it. If I don't like to do something, I don't like to do it. I recorded a song to start my music channel. I still haven't posted it yet. And I didn't film it because I realized that filming was what was slowing me down. It's really difficult for me to film things because I do not have a good camera for it. I thought it would be a good camera, but it's totally not. Filming things requires so much work for me. I can't plug in an external microphone. I have to get rid of this fisheye effect. I bought an action camera, and I got a pretty good deal on it, and it can record pretty high quality footage, but it's just not a good camera for simple filming. I wanted to get just a really simple camcorder that I could just plug in my microphone and film something. I'm not super concerned about quality. I don't need to get one that's higher than 720p. Other than that, like more than that, I feel is unnecessary, especially for the things that I would sort of be filming. I don't need like 4K footage of me talking to a camera. It's been a lot longer than I thought I was recording. I am very grateful to have my subscribers and the people that like to listen to the things that I make. And I truly mean that. I would have stopped probably several times throughout this journey if there was no one really listening, just because I didn't care to do these things myself. Every once in a while I do experiments and just play with sound and things that I can record. But had I not had these people that are enjoying the things that I make and that are grateful for them, I would have stopped. So it's because of you that I'm still here. So again, thank you. And what was I saying? I think that was the end of that little spiel. But it's been fun. I enjoy doing these things, and I write things with the awareness of what I've made before and how it was received. I'm sort of, in that sense, playing to my crowd, playing to my audience, which is kind of fun too. It still amuses me how much people like my voice. I don't remember if I've ever said this, but I used to think for a long time that my voice was annoying. Like whenever I would hear it, especially in recordings, I couldn't understand how it was so different, and it was like, my voice is it's terrible. And I've become like more accepting of it, especially in the face of such praise. But I still prefer how it sounds in my head to how it sounds in a recording, probably just from familiarity. And I don't know that will ever change. Oh wait, I remember what I was talking about before. But I'm no longer so rejecting of my voice. Even my own singing voice took a while to adjust. And I think I'm more comfortable with that now than I've ever been in the past. Which is what I tangented off of a minute ago. I recorded my first little musical song. I haven't posted it yet. I was going to film it but didn't. But I did have an audio recording, and it was a pretty good take of a song of me playing the ukulele and singing. And it's not a song that I wrote, but it's a song that I wrote my adaptation to. Not lyrically, but with the ukulele. And I'll post that soon, and that'll be fun. I'll share it. If I post it before I do this, I'll put a link in the description just to share it. I don't know exactly how to proceed with the music channel just yet, because I don't have a good way to film, and I have lots more written on the piano than I do on the ukulele or guitar. I don't play guitar that often anymore. But I would like to, I have full albums that I've written for the piano, and I would like to start sharing those. When I move, I'm going to get a new keyboard, because the one that I have is just way too heavy to be realistic to move around. And I've had it for long enough, I'm tired of it, so I'll sell it and get a new one that won't be... there's no way I could move that with myself. It's super difficult for me to move with someone that's really strong. It is extremely heavy. So I'll get a new one, and I think with the new keyboard that I'm looking at getting, I think it'll be really easy to record with that. So that's something I'm excited about. I will start to share my piano music, and I'm really excited. And actually, I have a couple ideas of how I can incorporate some of my music with my ASMR, because I like to be, and perhaps this is more in my head than anything else, but sometimes I like to consider myself a musical storyteller. And for instance, one of my albums chronicles a boy's journey just as he goes on this adventure. And it's in sort of a fantastical setting, but it's I would like to... all the songs are written pretty much for that whole thing. There's somewhere around like 12 maybe. So I could record those, and then I could write in words basically what's happening in each song. And each song sort of tells just a different part of the journey and a different place that he visits, which is sort of an oversimplification, but it'll do for now. So I could record those, and I could have the musical album, and then I could have the quote-unquote ASMR album, where while the music is being played, I will narrate the story of each thing, maybe include some sound effects or things, just to kind of make it more of a thing. The idea that really started the album was that they were bedtime stories that a father was telling his children before they go to sleep. And I don't know if I've ever mentioned this, but I have this huge lifelong dream of becoming a dad and being a father and having a little family of my own. That's I would call that my greatest dream, for certain. And so a lot of the things that I do or think about or dream of are all relevant to that. It is amusing me. It changes a lot of my life, because lots of people my age want to go out and adventure and see the world and have all these crazy experiences. And I've done a lot of that stuff. Like, I feel satisfied with the amount that I've done. But everyone that I talk to, I mention this interest, and they're like, "Oh, I couldn't settle down yet. I'm too young. I have all these aspirations I gotta do." But I would be 100% fine to settle down right now if I found the partner that I would feel comfortable with. And if I was like, I would be 100% happy. I would probably be more than 100% happy, if you consider that possible, to have a child and to start just raising this family. That just sounds like dream come true for me. And I don't know how much research I've put into parenting and raising children, and I have a lot of not non-consensus, maybe non-consensus, non-traditional, non-standard ways of thinking. Non-consensus is probably a better word, not non-standard. I'm not gonna like raise my child to wear all their shirts backwards or whatever. But I think that the way things are done right now in parenting and in a lot of other aspects of the world isn't necessarily the greatest way to do things. And so I would like to implement my own, and they're not even systems that I necessarily thought of or developed or created, discovered, however you want to say it, but they're things that I have played with and thought about and kind of created my own versions of things. But I think I would raise good children. I think that my children would contribute positively to the world. It would be a good asset for the world to have. And I guess there's only one way to find out, right? So that's fun. I like dreaming of that. I've written several lullabies, several just kind of youth-related things. It's a lot of... There's definitely an inner child that's still kicking in me, too. My youth never really died. I used to be afraid that it would. I used to be afraid of, quote-unquote, growing up and losing that spark of joy and childlikeness, how about that word? In that word, in that sense. People use the word childish more often than not to be derogatory, pejorative, and so I prefer the word childlike. Because children, I don't think being like a child is inherently a negative thing. I think more often than not, it's a positive thing. There are things that very young children do that they learn quickly are not very useful or not very efficient ways of interacting with the world, depending on so many things. But in general, children are much more creative and imaginative, and children are happier. They haven't yet been, the joy hasn't been wrung out of them, so to speak. And I'm a pretty happy person. I don't remember if I mentioned this. Most of the things that I talk about myself or my channel are just found in the comments that people ask in videos. So I don't remember if I ever shared this particular thing, but there is an author who had written these books that I very much like and appreciate, and I emailed him and I got permission from him to to read some of his books that I like, selections of it for this channel. And they're not all just random things that I appreciate and enjoy, but there are things that I feel are relevant to ASMR, and I would really like to open the conversation and see what comes out if I bring out these ideas, because he didn't present them related to ASMR, and they may not be. It's just my curiosity and my thought about the subject that I want to see what comes out of bringing more people to these ideas. So that's in the pipeline. I'm reading through the books again and taking notes, just kind of outlining the things, just so I know what is where, and I can read specific things that I want. So that'll be fun. Either the next video or the one after that will be somewhat related to this. It'll deal with some of the things in one of the books, and it's also an experiment that I was curious about. But I haven't recorded that yet. I'm still scripting. It's involving a lot of writing, so we'll see how that one goes. It's kind of amusing that this Ramble video is going to probably be my longest one. But in my defense, the videos that I do post regularly, or normally, they involve a lot of work. They involve quite a bit of, not as much recording as editing, but I have a large attention to detail, and the content that I make is very, very refined, I should say. There's birds right outside my window. They're pretty. He's cute. I usually whittle down the recordings too, from a lot larger of a recording to one that's kind of tiny. I'll record something and it'll end up being like an hour-long recording, and I'll whittle it down to 15 minutes just because of how many takes I do, or cutting out all the things that I don't like or don't want. I don't usually do that many takes, but and I guess the ones that are like an hour are usually the ones where I have layered voices, just because there's twice as much I have to say. But I don't mean to complain. I don't mean to suggest that this is out of my way, all this effort. I just want to give you a little bit of an understanding on why my videos are short. I see a lot of the popular ASMR artists who have like these 7-hour tingle videos where they just do a bunch of random noises and things. And that's not quite my speed, just because it's not the same sort of videos that I make. But just to compare them, if I did a 7-hour video, it'd probably be about a 24-hour recording, and it would take me probably several weeks to edit. If it was my sort of content, then the things, like I say, are very different. They're just recording, making noises and things. It doesn't require that much editing. But mine requires a lot of editing. And that's also why I don't do video. Without a camera that can interface directly with my microphone, I would have to manually align every cut that I ever make. And there's tons and tons of things that I do to the audio. Not necessarily effects or distortions to it, but just editing. And I don't know if people realize this. Every pause in between dialogue in my in my monologues or things is not calculated, but is attended to. Especially in the videos with the twins or things, I pay super close attention to just the flow of the conversation. And that's one of the reasons why I think it's such a high quality recording, just because I'm so attentive to everything that I can be. Which is why it takes so long too, but people seem to like it, so I'm doing something right, yeah? So I have lots of things in the works. I'm gonna get as much of it recorded as I can before I move. It won't take me long to move because I barely own anything. But I will keep going. I'm like in the pace of about one release every 2-ish weeks. Twice a month if I can pull it off. It's a really hard one. I should do more of these ramble videos, or just more simpler things that I don't have to exert so much effort in editing. But they would fill the void nicely if I can't get something finished. I'm always open to feedback. I'm always open to constructive criticism. I see many comments that people post that they delete. I don't know if they realize that I get emails when someone posts a comment. So I can't see the whole thing, so if it's a really long comment, I won't be able to read the entire thing if it's deleted, but I'll see the first line or two. And so so just be aware of that. If you comment something, I do see at least the beginning of it. If it's a short comment, I'll see the whole thing. And I don't get offended easily. Either if you're hitting on me or if you're insulting me or whatever, it's not going to ruin my life. So don't be worried about what you say necessarily. You can keep it constructive if you'd like. I wouldn't be opposed to that, but you are more than welcome to share your opinion if you did not like something or if you feel it can be improved. I am always open to listening to these things. And as always, all of your gratitude is very appreciated. And I am happy to help you and to play this role for you. I think that there are a lot of ASM artists out there, and we each kind of perform our own specific role, our own specific style of content. And so forgive me if sometimes I'm a little bit hesitant to try new things, just because I don't want to copy what other people do. I like what I'm doing and playing with. But I'm always open to hearing ideas, and if it does seem like it would be a good thing, a positive thing for me to branch out and do, I'll probably look into it. What else do I need to say? If any other ASM artists are listening to this at any point, I'm always open to collaborations. I still haven't collaborated with anyone, but I would be more than happy to. It always sounded really fun to me from the very beginning, and it doesn't have to be anything complex. I can just share my voice, or I don't know. Again, it just depends on whatever I'm doing with the other person. But it sounds fun. I'd be happy to play around. I need to make a channel introduction video. I was going to do that. I have an idea for it. I just haven't done it yet. Oh, the bird's back. I'm going to miss this apartment. Sort of. Things I like about it and things I don't. As anywhere. So, thank you for spending this morning with me, friend. And if you would, please do me a favor and have a lovely morning, evening, and night. I'll see you soon.